Happy Labor Day, y'all. Here's the latest headlines. Last week, both presidential candidates paid a visit to Kenosha, Wisconsin, the city where Jacob Blake was shot in the back and paralyzed by local police. Donald Trump rolled through on Tuesday, September 8th, and Joe Biden followed on September 10th. Both men claimed the purpose of their visit was to, quote, heal the community. Supporters of the candidates were excited to see both men arrive, but many were skeptical of their intentions and said they should wait until things calm down before visiting. As someone who lives in Wisconsin and who grew up in Kenosha, I share that skepticism. I have no knowledge of what was said directly to community leaders or the Blake family, but on the surface, this was a cheap campaign stunt and nothing more. How can you heal a community in one afternoon? Especially when Trump did not visit with Blake's family and Biden's community meeting was not open to the public. Look, neither of these guys knows anything about Wisconsin or Kenosha. They don't care about us any more than they care about any other state or any other victim of police brutality. The fact that they thought their mere presence is enough to quell violence and civil unrest is laughable and insulting. Many other people thought so too, which is why both visits were met with protesters demanding actual policies, not empty platitudes, for their votes.
If we don't get it, shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down. Shut this motherfucking down. Same thing. Same thing. Same thing. Jacob Blake.
Since Jacob Blake was shot last month, every public official has been telling us that they're doing everything possible to bring about justice. Kenosha Police Department has reportedly invested over 600 hours of police work into the case, but at the time of recording, the officer who shot Blake has not even been fired or arrested. Justin Blake, Jacob's uncle, told a crowd on Thursday that the time for justice is now, and that they want, quote, an indictment and a conviction.
The only way to get where we're trying to get is not to be silent, to continue to keep the heat on. Vice President Biden had a hell of a good meeting with my brother. He spoke about reform. We're not even at reform yet. We want an indictment. We want a conviction for little Jake right now and for all the little Jakes around this country that look like little Jake and around the world. Is who? No, Jake met with them early this morning down in Milwaukee. He's getting ready to go get something to eat and get to the hospital. Thank God he has a brother and an uncle like us. We don't want them to come out here. We've had death threats from my brother, all his children, and the family. I'm not going to put them in harm's way. I'll stand here and be the one to go down, getting the message out that we're going to die for justice. We got to have it right now. We want an indictment of this police officer.
In other news, COVID-19 continues to sweep the nation. The latest figures from the Center for Disease Control report that the U.S. has over 6 million cases and more than 188,000 deaths. The state of Wisconsin reports more than 80,000 active cases and estimates another 5,000 which are unreported. Cities everywhere are grappling with the idea of opening schools for the fall, with many opening for digital-only or part-time classes. To complicate things, small businesses continue to struggle after being crushed by the pandemic, by looting and by a Congress that has shown little to no interest in giving out any more bailout money to anyone who isn't a corporation. And on top of all that, protections for people on rent and mortgage have expired, and without any new laws put into place, large number of evictions have already begun and will only get worse in the coming weeks. Estimates from August said 30 to 40 million Americans were at risk of being evicted. And after a few more weeks without any new assistance from the federal government, those numbers will only keep increasing. Let's end on some good news. Former CIA employee and current fugitive Edward Snowden has been partly exonerated in court. The whistleblower shared NSA documents in 2013 that showed the agency was illegally scooping up people's metadata and storing it for review. The NSA says this data from regular people, obtained without search warrants, was essential for finding and arresting terrorists, both domestic and foreign. A U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals said last week that the collection of such data was, quote, unconstitutional. Snowden found asylum in Russia and has been hiding there for 7 years. He said on Twitter that he felt vindicated by the announcement, but of course, he's still wanted by the US for espionage charges. Trump mentioned last month that he was, quote, considering pardoning Snowden. Trump says a lot of things, many of them are false or completely made up, but let's hope he's serious on this one. Regardless of what anyone in the intelligence community or any of the hacks on cable news say, Snowden is a hero. Like many whistleblowers before him, he saw how the sausage is made and performed a public service by telling us what our government was doing in our names with our money. Even if he did break a couple of rules, he spent the last 7 years in exile. In addition to being morally correct, a pardon from Trump would be a chance for him to capitalize on the Democrats' corruption and laziness. He gets a bump in the polls, Snowden comes home, and justice is served. Everybody wins. That's it for today. Check back tomorrow for more news and headlines. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Follow us on Twitter, support us on Patreon, and visit our website at yourforwardnews.com for more in-depth stories. More information is available in the description below. Stay safe, stay informed.